Salut tout le monde! Welcome back to Unintentionally Frenchified. Today, this video is 100% for you because I am answering all of your questions. So the Q&A today is going to be questions that I got from Instagram. I haven't done one in a while, so I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have asked. I didn't look, so this is going to be unprepared. We'll see what comes out of my mouth and what kind of questions you guys asked. If you have any questions that I didn't answer or that you didn't ask, put them in the comments below because I'll definitely be following up so I can always answer there. And otherwise, c'est parti! Except for Pizza Hut, what's your way of staying connected to feeling close to the US and Paris? I would say that food is definitely a huge one. I love being able to order a Pizza Hut pizza because for me it tastes exactly the same as it tastes in the US, and I don't think there's anything worse than going and ordering like a macaroni and cheese or something at a restaurant and having it be good but not what you were expecting. So I love a good Pizza Hut, but I also think I stay close having some American friends in Paris that understand where I'm coming from sometimes, and also I do a ridiculous amount of FaceTiming or WhatsApping or, talking, video chatting. Did you travel to another European country? Hello from the Netherlands. Hello. Not recently. We haven't traveled outside of France in the last year, but normally we love traveling. That's one of my favorite things about living in Europe is that you can travel so cheaply and so quickly to all the other countries. We've done everywhere in Western Europe, and I'm hoping to get more into Eastern Europe as we can travel again, but big travelers. Where is somewhere in France you've always wanted to go but haven't yet? Lyon is actually a place that I really want to go. I've heard amazing things about Lyon. It's the second largest city in France. It's a city that's like not that far from the mountains, not that far from the beach. It's a lot cheaper to live there than it is in Paris, even though it's still a really big city. So I feel like you kind of have the best of both worlds. And it's really not that far from Paris too if your family's in Paris. So yeah, Lyon is a place I'd really like to check out. Qu'est-ce que tu préfères en France? What do you prefer in France? I prefer the food. Life is not to work mentality. I love all of the vacation, and I really like the cultural aspect of France. I think the people are just really into the history and general culture and knowledge and literature, and I just feel like I've kind of upskilled myself. I'm more of an adult in those areas. Tips for finding Frenchmen to date while living in France. Honestly, I think the best tip to finding a French guy is to meet someone through a friend. I know that that's hard, but I didn't have so much success in the Frenchman department with the men that I met randomly in bars. So I would say if you can, I would go with friends of friends or friends of colleagues or, anything like that, any tiny connection. Obviously apps, if you don't have French friends yet, or if you're struggling to meet like French guys and you don't have a lot of friends at work or French girls that you want to date, I would definitely hit up the apps. That's kind of what they're there for, right? Co-parenting with someone from a different culture. This is a very interesting one, and I wish Robin wasn't so camera shy that he would come and hang out with us and talk about this with us. It can be very difficult sometimes. There's obviously a lot of positives to it, and I'm so excited that Eleanor is gonna grow up being both French and American and having, experiences in the States with her American family and all of her, European culture and background and Frenchness that will come. But I think it's really hard probably to raise a child even with someone who has the same cultural background as you. So yeah, it adds an extra layer, and you get the positive sides of it, but you also sometimes get the negative sides. And I think the worst things are stuff you're not expecting. I don't really have like a good example in the top of my head, but whenever we get in a disagreement and it's not for like a big subject that I know is gonna be a disagreement, and so I get myself like prepared and I'm like caught off guard, that's when I'm like, what the hell? Ça fait quoi devenir française? Honestly, I was so proud. I was so proud when I found out because of COVID and they're not doing the actual ceremonies right now, and they sent me my packet and everything. I cried every time I got something in the mail. I'm really pleased. It feels like such a big adventure coming to France, and it feels a bit full circle actually finishing with my French nationality. And in a lot of ways I'm not French, but I feel such an attachment to the country, and I feel really proud to be a French citizen. So very exciting. How do you do it all? Mother, marketer, YouTube, wife, and learning Spanish. I fail all the time, and I have breakdowns about it all the time. I think it's particularly rough right now with the pandemic and with curfew and with these restrictions and not being able to go home to the US and visit my family and just take a breather space. For us, traveling was really our way to, I answered like how I de-stress. I think traveling was something as well that really helped with that and experiencing new things, and we can't do that anymore. So I fail all the time, and you're constantly not feeling good enough. Either I'm giving a lot being a mom, and then I feel like I'm giving less to Robin or not enough to my full-time job, or I didn't make a YouTube video this week and I feel like I'm letting people down, people who expect my videos every week. I miss a Spanish class, or I haven't taken a class in a month because I just like can't get on top of it. I never feel like I'm doing enough. So I think we all have that feeling a bit. I would say when I need to make decisions, I prioritize. I'm all about lists. I'm all about creating to-do lists. I'm all about telling myself, listen, you can't do everything. Today I want to accomplish this. Tomorrow I want to accomplish this. And the next day. And I love crossing stuff off my list. I am a big list woman. Favorite weekend activities considering the restrictions and the couvre-feu. Every weekend we go to the boulangerie and we get breakfast in the morning, which we don't do during the week. So for me, that's like a huge part of like my little starting off our day right. Because we have Eleanor, we do as much things as we can outside. So going to parks, walking around the neighborhood, going down to the Seine and walking. And otherwise, I would say seeing friends. So either trying to go to a friend's house who has kids, trying to play board games. But I mean, there's just really not that much to do right now. So I'm not the best person for like what you can do because I just don't feel like there's that much to do. But getting outside, Paris is just not that cold. Like, I'm sorry, compared to where I come from near Chicago, I mean, it is freezing in winter. There is no reason that we aren't, besides it rains, it does rain here. I would say more just get outside, and a lot of times I just like grabbing a coffee to go from somewhere and just walking around and enjoying some fresh air. Do you see yourself living many more years in France? Yes, I do. In my perfect world, we would kind of have a place to stay in France and a place to stay in the US, and we could go back and forth. But of course, when Eleanor's in school, that's just not gonna work anymore. And right now with my job, that's not a possibility, so scratch that. So yeah, we'll be in France, I think, for a couple more years, and then we'll see. I've always wanted to live in Montreal. That is like going to Canada. I feel like there's such a good mix between the French and English, and we're not that far from Robin's family. We're not that far from my family, so who knows, maybe that could be like the next move, but we'll be in France for now, and then at some point in the US. I think high school for Eleanor would be so fun in the US. I have such great memories, so a bit of back and forth. Is Ellie learning English and French? Yes, so I speak only to Eleanor in English, and Robin speaks only to her in French, and then when she goes to her nanny is French, so she hears French at her nanny's, and then Robin and I speak French together, so she hears way more French than she does English, but all of her books are in English, all of the music and stories that we let her listen to are in English. I only speak to her in English, so she's not saying any words yet. Well, she says mom and dad, papa and mama. I guess we're gonna have to see. Who knows what she'll be like, but I don't worry about it too much right now. How long did it take for you to feel like France was home? I feel like France felt like it was home once I had created a good social circle here and women that I really felt like I could count on. When you're having a bad day and you're crying and you've got someone to go over to their house and in your pajamas, curl up on the couch with them, have a glass of wine, and just leave your soul, bare your soul to them. I think that's when I felt like I had really felt like France was home. I had that solid network here. And I think that probably took me about 2 years. I think up for the first 2 years, it felt like an adventure and it felt like something short term and maybe wasn't gonna last long. And about 2.5 years into it, I felt like my life was a little bit more secure here, and I had my friend circle and I had people I could really count on, and as most expats know, friends start to feel like family. So I would say 2.5 years. It's rough at the beginning. It's hard. I mean, it's a huge adventure and it's so much fun, but it's also really hard. So if you just moved to a new country, keep that in mind. It takes a while to settle in. What is the thing you are most excited about raising your daughter in Paris? I didn't grow up in a big city, so all the advantages to a big city, there's so much to do in a big city. And then when we talk about Paris, there's so many cultural things for her to do. I'm really excited about all the expos she can go to, all the museums, all the things for kids, all the activities. There's just always so much going on in a big city, and that hustle and bustle is something that I'm excited to have, her get to experience. And at the same time, I grew up with a huge backyard in the Midwest, and that I think is so great with prairies and space to run. So I don't know, all the positive things of a big city, but I also think living in a small town is really great too, so. How did you pick Eleanor's name? We did a list with Robin, and to be honest, he hated like all of my baby names. I loved the names like Finley, I loved Sailor for a girl, I loved Hunter for a boy, and Robin was like, listen, you gotta go with names that French are gonna understand as well, a bit more maybe traditional, or so we just did a list of names that both were easy in French and in English. You know, my family's really easy with Eleanor, or they say Ele, and in French, you know, Eleanor is really, you know, so we just kind of had to narrow. I mean, honestly, when you've got two cultures, it narrows down the list a lot. Already when there's two people deciding a name, that narrows it down. But then when you've got two cultures and you want the name to work in both language, that really narrows it down as well. And my actual name is Kate. Like, it is not a Catherine. I am Kate, and that's my name. And when I was growing up, I was always disappointed that my name was so short and I didn't have like a nickname. And so I liked the fact that Eleanor was a bit longer, and that I knew we could call her Ele or Ellie or Ella, and that she could have a little nickname, because I always thought that was, you know, I kind of missed that. That's kind of how we got to the name. Your favorite song right now? I don't even want to tell you guys. I am not like a music guru by any means, but I'm a huge fan of Taylor Swift, and so I've been listening to her new Folklore and Evermore albums on repeat, so I would say anything Taylor Swift right now. Alright guys, I couldn't fit every single question in here without making the video crazy long, so if your question didn't get answered, don't hesitate to put it in the comments below and I will get back to you in the comments. I hope everybody has a great week. Sending you lots of love. Bisous. See you next week.